Okay. So we're going to take a step back from graphing those quadratic equations for a few minutes, and we're going to review factoring them because we're about to use it on the graphing quadratic equation stuff. Okay, so we need to refresh our memory on how to do it. All right. So the first couple that we do, we're going to do just like the basic factoring. Yes, sir.
Is it like what we did before with the two things in the
Same stuff. So the first two that we do, we're going to just do that basic, like, okay, what do we multiply? Miss Gwen is back in her classroom.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Are you sure you know? Chris?
So here and here, what do we multiply to get x squared? X and x. And then for here and here, we're looking for numbers that multiply to get negative 8, but add to get negative 7.
Negative 8 and probably 1.
Wait, negative 18.
Oh, yeah, negative 18. My bad. I can't, read, evidently. What are things that multiply to get negative 18, but add up to get negative 7?
2 and negative
2 and negative 9. So if you have a negative 9 and a positive 2, and you could write those in either order, it doesn't matter, right? And that's all you have to do for that. That's your answer for right now, right? We're just practicing the factoring, okay? So over here on this one, we're going to do the same story. All right? So what times what gives us p squared? P times p, right? And then what do we multiply to get negative 14, but adds to get negative 5?
2 negative 7 and 2.
Negative 7, positive 2. And that's it. That's all we do, right? Now, if they just have a p squared, an x squared, and m squared, there's no coefficient in front of the squared, then that's the easiest way to do it. Which the next two are still like that. But I'm going to show you an alternate method because the ones who do have a coefficient in front of the x squared get a little harder, and this alternate method will help you with that, okay? So on these two that we're about to do, you could do what we just did, totally fine. I'm just going to show you another way so that when we get to the harder ones, you understand what we're doing. Okay? Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Okay. So remember our box? Remember this guy? That we would put up the binomial here, and then we'd put up the binomial here, and we'd multiply them out. Remember doing that? Well, we are going to do this backwards. So this would be m squared. That's what we get when we multiply these two things together, right? And then this, he is an ISS, Mr. Neely. Mm-hmm. You're welcome. And then this right here, that's going to be our 8. We're going to put an 8 right there, right? And then this negative 9m comes from adding these two together. So we can put it there in the center. We don't have to. It's not really necessary because we're fixing to figure out what would go in these two boxes. Okay? So to figure out what would go in those two boxes, and you don't have to use this x for this, but I find that it helps people remember to do it or remember how to do it. Okay? So first, we're going to multiply our A and our C. Now, what am I talking about in our A and our C? So, our coefficient of m squared and our constant 8, right? So, remember it's ax squared plus bx plus c. So, our A here is 1 and our C is 8. So, we're going to multiply 1 times 8, and what we're going to put up here is just 8. And then down here, we're going to put our b value. And our b value in this problem is negative 9. Everybody with me so far? Now, what we're looking for here are two numbers that will multiply to get us 8, but add to get us negative 9. Negative 1 and negative 8. Let me get that so fast. So negative 1 times negative 8 is 8. But negative 1 plus negative 8 is negative 9, right? Well, those are the two things that go in these two boxes, negative 1m and negative 8m. And those are what add up to get us that negative 9m right there. So since we have figured out what all the answers are when we multiply, now we just need to figure out what we multiplied to get those answers. So we start off with our first box and we say, all right, what would we multiply to get m squared? M and m. So that's pretty simple, right? And then we go, okay, if I multiply m times something and I get negative 8m, what did I multiply m by? Negative 8. So this gets a negative 8. If I multiply m by something and I got negative 1m, what did I multiply it by? Negative 1. So our factors for 3 are m minus 8 and m minus 1. Now, just to reiterate one more time, I realize this was a lot of work for that problem, and you could have done that faster the other way, and I know that, right? I'm showing you this method, so in just a minute, when these problems get a lot harder, you know, you understand how the method works, okay? So we're showing it to you on an easier problem first. Okay, so let's look at this number 4. We're going to sketch up our box. Right? X squared is going to go here. 63 is going to go here. This in the middle, we get negative 16x, but we need to know what those two pieces are. So to figure out what those two pieces are, we're going to build our x. So up here is a times c, and in this case, a is 1, and c is 63. So 1 times 63 is 63. Down here, we put b, and b in this case is, so we're looking for, to go in these two holes, numbers that multiply to get us 63, but add to get us 16, negative 16. You are on it today. You already did it? Did you factor it the other way?
Yes.
Okay, so negative 7x and negative 9x. So those two numbers multiply to get 63, but they add to get negative 16, right? So what are our factors here and here? X and x. And then what do we multiply by x to get negative 7x? And what do we multiply by x to get negative 9x? So our factors of this would be x minus 9, x minus 7. Okay, so that's the last easy one. They get a little harder. Okay, but we learned this new method for the very thing we're about to do, which is the harder ones. Okay, so let's look at number 5. So let's build that box, right? What goes up here in this top corner? You're probably going to want 1. 7x squared. What goes down here in this bottom corner? Negative 20. And then that negative 31x. And remember, like I said, that's really not necessary to write there. I don't know why I still do it. So what goes on top of our x? A times c. Now what is a and c? So just the 7, just the number, not the x squared part. So just the number, and then the negative 20. So that gives us negative 40, right? What goes on bottom? Negative 31. So we're looking for numbers that multiply to get this, but add to get that. So this is going to maybe take you a little trial and error, right? Things that multiply to get 140, but add to get 31. Cheyenne, will you bring my Diet Coke off my desk? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Did you find something yet?
No. Is it a test?
Nope, it's going to be whole numbers.
5 and 8.
5 and 8?
5 and 20.
Oh. Are you sure?
Negative 5.
Negative 5 and 28? You might be.
I don't think you can.
Do you need to go? You need to go?
No.
Or are you dying? I'll give you the Heimlich.
Need some Diet Coke.
I ain't giving you my Diet Coke. You can go to the water fountain. Crawl to the water fountain and get you a drink. You ain't getting mine. Okay.
35.
What?
4 to 35.
4 and 35. So why did 5 and 28 not work?
Because I'm stupid.
Because if they were both positives, it'd be. We'll never know.
If we're gonna add up.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no
either
way.
There's
There's
no way.
no way. So what did we find out it was instead?
4 and negative 35.
4 and negative 35. Now, those are our values that go here. And it doesn't matter which place we put them, okay? So we can put 4x in one and negative 35x in the other. Now, what does matter is where we put our factors for this first term. So it's going to be 7x times 1x. But if we put the 7x up here, can we multiply 7x times something and get 4x? No. So we can't put a 7x up there. So that's going to have to be the regular x. And the 7x has to go over here, right? Now what would we multiply x by to get 4x? 4. And what would we multiply 7x by to get negative 35? Negative 5. So our factors for 5 are 7x plus 4 and x minus 5.
Do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Judith, he needs you.
Yeah.
Blood donating?
It doesn't hurt as bad as you think it
It is horrible and it makes me sick and I can't do it. I'm just giving you an alternate view here.
is. I liked it.
My sister gives blood every chance she can. She says she enjoys doing it and she feels good afterwards. It makes me so sick 4 days. I can't do it.
I just don't like.
I got the bigger needle and it was like in there for an hour.
I don't like needles either. I don't do needles well. But beyond the needles, I can like tough through something. But I can't handle being sick for days. I just can't do it. Makes me weak and shaky and
The worst part about it was squeezing that ball because like after like the 100 squeezing, you're like squeezing your arms that they're shaking.
Mhm.
It's so hard.
bye. You too. I'll see you later. Okay. Now, could you do this another way? Yeah, you could do it the same way that we did the ones at the top. But could you have different factors? No. You couldn't. That literally is it. That's the only way you can factor it. There are some that may have multiple options for factors. This is not one of them. Because of that 7. That 7 sort of locks you in. Because there's no way to factor. Huh? No. It's got to be whole numbers. Okay. Now, this one over here, they throw this one on this page to throw you off. And this is the easiest one on the page. Because all you got to do is factor K out. They both have K in them, right? So if you factor k out of both of them, k stays on the outside because you can't throw it away, it's still there. But you have 7k plus 9 because that factors out and that one factors out with one of those. Yeah, and so you could write k plus 0, it's just not necessary. So you could just have just k, right? Now, my first hour class wanted to know if they could do this, if they could add 0 like so, and then factor it like this, and you totally can do that. Like you can. But what you wind up with is 7k plus 9 and k plus 0, and k plus 0 is just k. So you would write it like this even if you did it like that. Okay? Okay, let's look at 7. My hand's looking like old lady hands. Okay. What goes up here? What goes down here? I'm not going to write that in the middle. I'm going to try to break that habit, okay? So now we got to figure out what goes in these two. And so to figure out what goes in those two, up here we put, which is? Okay, what is that number?
Negative 196.
196. And then what goes down here? So we're looking for numbers that multiply to get 196, negative 196, but add to get negative 140 or negative 45. Well, I don't know, y'all. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm just crazy.
And negative 49.
4 and negative 49?
Yes.
Looks good to me.
I just guessed that on my first calculator.
Oh,
Maybe there's a 4 in there because 7 times 24 to get 28.
uh-huh. So you know that there's a factor of 4 in there. Well, I mean,
no, I'm just like,
you can just look at these numbers and see what factors there are, and that will give you an idea of what you might be able to divide that by. Okay, so 4x in one of them, negative 49x in the other, right? So once again, we're running into the 7x thing. X at the top, 7x on the side, because you can't multiply 7x by something and get 4x, right? But you can multiply x by something and get 4x. What would you multiply x by? What would you multiply x by to get 4x? What would you multiply 7x by to get negative 49? So our factors are 7x plus 4 and x minus 7. I do want to point out, this is a random coincidence that this problem and number 5 both have 7x plus 4, okay? That's not like a thing. That's not a thing. There's no pattern there, okay? I am sure. All right, so I know.
I keep getting distracted by the delay.
And sometimes the delay throws me off. Like, that's why sometimes I'll write something 2 times, because I'm looking at that screen, and even though my brain is processing it to my hand, I don't see it with my eyeball, so then I write it again.
It's just funny watching your hands over and seeing it.
Yeah. And it only does that when I'm recording. It only does it when I'm recording. Okay, so 2b squared here, 21 here. This one's pretty easy, y'all. All right, so what goes up here? 42. What goes down at the bottom? 17. So what multiplies to get 42, but adds to get 17?
Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Math.
3 and 14.
That. I knew. What about that?
So 3b and 14b. So what are our factors going to be up here? One's got to be 2b.
Side.
The side one?
Yes.
Why?
Because you can't multiply 2.
To get 3b. You can't multiply 2b to get 3b, right? Okay, so that means what's up here? B. Okay, so y'all tell me what to do next.
3 on the side.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then 7.
I want to point out, and I haven't said anything about this, the order you put these two in, like which one goes first, doesn't matter. Because it's the same thing as if you did 6 times 3 or 3 times 6, you still get the same answer, right? Now, what order they're in inside there, like, that matters. But it doesn't matter what order the parentheses are sitting. Does that make sense? Okay. 9 and 10. And then the back, except for 19 and 20, is going to be your assignment. You will have the rest of class today and all of class tomorrow to work on this assignment.
This star was the
Tomorrow is?
today.
Oh, is today May 4th?
Wait, what's today?
May 4th. May the 4th be with you. So that means, So that means tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo.
Wait, today's a holiday. Why do we come to school?
It's a made-up holiday.
Because apparently the school does isn't a sci-fi.
Should be May the 6th.
We should have like taken the day off for the side.
Yeah,
Adventures.
I'm with that.
You need to bring it to the end of the year meeting too.
You betcha.
People from the
I'd probably have a hard time convincing them of how important it was, considering I've never watched Star Wars in my life.
I'm going to bring my
The last
DVD
week of
set
school
tomorrow.
will drill you with it.
I don't want to. I have no interest. I've lived 46 years without it. I think I can keep going. Odd story though. Well, let me finish this.